This is a big drop.
That'll do.
It'll probably.
That's a hell of a big wallet.
Actually, yeah. It's a real, it's a brick.
It might be too big, but I can't touch it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, okay. Diode, for those who don't know, we started about 5 years ago. We always kind of viewed it as this grand experiment that could blow up around our ears at any point in time, probably like many of the other spaces do. We've always had this sort of philosophy of anyone who wants to join gets to join. There's no criteria for joining. There's no, you don't have to pass any tests. You don't have to be approved by board members. You just come in, you say, I want to join. We say, how much can you pay? They say, oh, I can pay $50 or I can pay $20. We say, great. And so we've sort of tried to run it very openly. But of course, as we're approaching 100 members, or we've hit 100 members, and there's people there who are yahoos. We've got a couple of jerks. We don't know who they are. But there's also people who say they know how to use stuff, and then they don't know how to use stuff. And then they're pushing a piece of green wood, frozen end grain into a jointer, and it slips, and they cut off 3 of their fingers, which happened in November. So this was our, I guess, wake up. It was a hell of a big shock because we kind of assumed something like this could always happen, but then we kind of assumed it never would because people aren't idiots. But it sent the board of directors into like a big flurry of, holy shit, what are all the things we're doing wrong? What could we have done to prevent this? Looking back on it, my thought was we should have faked this a long time ago. Somebody in every hackerspace should fake a nasty injury, scare the shit out of the board of directors, mobilize them into making all the improvements they should make, and then say, haha, I was just faking, guys. And if the member who did this came up to us and said, yeah, he was faking, I'd give him a big hug right now. The first thing we learned is we don't have any good way to contact 911 if people don't have a cell phone. One thing is we have no really good guidelines for safety training. We've got this sort of level of tool use in. So every big tool in the shop has a sticker on it. There are green stickers, there are orange stickers, there are red stickers. And we've always said, okay, green stickers are, go ahead and use it, use common sense. Orange stickers are, this can hurt you, so be careful with it, but if you know how to use it, go ahead and use it. And then there's red ones, which means that either it can kill you or you can kill it. And so you need training. But we had no real consequences, we had no real enforcement. We had no real mechanism in place for people to get training. They would have to ask, and there was no, there was no teeth to anything. And so we've changed that recently. We've implemented online YouTube training. So we go out and we find like the 3 best videos for any given tool, and we make people watch them. And then once they watch them. For the orange tools, they can just train online and they just have to watch those videos and then they can use them. And then for the red tools, they have to watch the videos and then we can do a 5 or 10 minute training in the shop to get them their final certification. And we feel that's been a pretty good change. What else have we learned? On tag teaming, you tell us something.
So there's a few different philosophies as to how to approach learning a tool. Some people, there's one on the board that says, look, this is your shop. If you were at home and you were in the garage and you had a tool that you didn't know anything about, then you would learn about it, get someone else to teach you about it, and then you'd learn it, or be able to be safe and comfortable with it. But that's not working as well as we'd hoped to in the shop. That's why we're implementing this particular program. The other thing that we're hoping to instill is that someone is, when they're working with a large tool, that they are with someone else, because at the time, there was, at the time the incident happened, there was one person, well, there was actually 2 people in the shop. One attended that person directly, and that was good. But what if it's 3 or 4 in the morning? If you had that situation show up, then what? We kind of are happy with the fact that so far we haven't had anything major happen except for this particular thing, and we've been in business for about 5 years now. hopefully we'll continue with that. The training that we're putting together is over and above what's basic. We are hoping that we're just helping each other out more. Being able to be safe and comfortable is one of the best things that you can have if you're trying to make projects
We learned so much from this horrible accident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend being there, but I mean, it's just hard to not be there.
What was the accident?
We had a member who was trying to make Christmas presents. So he had a bunch of green wood that he cut from a forest, and he was trying to make them into candle holders. So, you know, little cross sections of raw wood, you know, with the bark still on, with you know, holes drilled in for tea lights. And so he had these chunks, and he was pushing them, you know, against the grain through the planer to try and flatten them. And so, you know, what inevitably happened is the planer grabbed the wood, flicked it out, and he was pushing his fingers into the blades. And with a planer, there's no sewing back on it because it takes them off a millimeter at a time.
Did he lose all his fingers?
He lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, yeah.
It's still not difficult for him to move them around and to grasp something with some of them, but it was traumatic enough. I mean, I've seen him since then. He now wears a glove. No one knows what he's. I haven't seen it myself, but from what I understand, he's basically like that. Fortunately, only that.
No, and he's been really great. He knows he was doing something stupid. He knows he was going against our safety policies. He's not, you know, said anything about suing. We did inform the insurance company, which I'd like to say was a horrible mistake because they were real shitheads about it, and they actually dropped us over it, even though they knew from the get-go that this was a possibility. We ended up with a better insurance company that we're much happier with out of that. But yeah, it was just a weird situation. The other thing is we ended up reviewing all of our indemnity waivers and all of that, which were all 5 years out of date, and they were boilerplate, you know, things that we got off the web to begin with, and they weren't really covering us.
So you knew way better ones?
We've got better ones now. I mean,
I want.
sorry?
I want.
We'll send you what we've got. I think they're all on our website actually.
Yes.
They still don't cover you much.
Oh, that's something.
Anything's better than.
Yeah, exactly, and mainly they're sort of an impediment to suing rather than actual. They're not going to save your ass.
The way that we understand it is a waiver won't help you if you have it, but if you don't have it, you automatically lose.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. So it's yeah, it's been a long, weird journey through this. I don't know what we do differently other than implement all this stuff before we got bitten by it. And realistically, we weren't really bitten. I mean,
No.
It's not, other than somebody losing their fingers, there's been no long-term downside to diode itself. It made us reevaluate all our unsafe tools and get rid of the ones that weren't up to snuff. It's also made us be a lot more aware of a lot of the things that could go wrong. You know, we've been doing things like reassessing our fire doors and making sure people can get out in the case of a fire, and looking at, you know, lighting and all of these other things that can contribute to safety and be just a lot more safety minded. In a lot of ways, that's inconvenienced people, especially people who say, well, you know, now it says I can't use this tool. I've been using it for years, and now it says you know, what the hell do I do? There's some people who've been a little bit pissed off. But yeah, in general, it's been a very positive process for us. And we've implemented a lot of changes on the website to track things in a lot more the same way, which has helped. Yeah. Anything else to say?
Well, one of the things that I can say is on the membership page here, we've got both the membership agreement and liability waiver. So the liability waiver is there. I actually asked the lawyer again about that because I was a little concerned, and apparently we're all right with our waivers, so if you wanted to look at that. The other thing, we did go from a boilerplate company that did insurance before that yeah, they weren't really happy with us, and then we weren't happy with them anyway afterwards. We looked into a few options, and we had input from all sorts of makerspaces. So if anyone here had input for us, that would be, or that was great. Thank you for that. We eventually chose the cooperators, who have a special package for nonprofits and volunteer organizations. So you might want to look into that. And from what I understand, there's a number of nonprofits and volunteer organizations involved that have that policy. They're very nice people too. I'm very happy so far that we haven't had a whole lot of other stuff going on. I think people are more cautious perhaps than they are maybe in the workplace. We have steadily increased our membership as well. I mean, people probably know about this particular situation that happened a year ago, and we've actually increased our membership by, it goes up and down, and the ebb and flow. The net result is that we've had about 20 extra people show up and be members. And when I sent out all sorts of messages, one of them was, okay, now we had new tools this past summer, and what happened was the new tools and the old tools were competing for space, and people, some of them, were coming in and using tools that they weren't authorized to use. What we're trying to do is facilitate. There's leave people alone completely, or help them along and teach them. And then there's the experts. We're not experts, we're just, you know, hackerspaces, and we can only do as much as we can do. But yeah, there's a little bit of a backlog. People that are understanding will wait. People will kind of go behind that though. So all I'm saying, the caveat is no matter what you're doing, there's going to be something that happens. One person quickly came in on a Monday, and on the Tuesday had switched the wood shop around completely.
Yeah, joined on a Monday and rearranged the whole wood shop on a Tuesday.
So, the concern that I have about that is, you think you're okay, and then something like that happens. What if the tool that the tool in question, all of a sudden were placed in a place that you hadn't anticipated? Everything that you've had for a safety measure or training before that, all of a sudden, okay, there it is. There's a different tool. That's like,
well, we have. I don't know if you guys have this, but we often have people disable the safety features on various tools to do something strange, and then they don't put it back on. You know, take the riving knife or the kickback blades off the table saw or something.
Or change the settings.
Yeah.
So you can never be 100% certain. But I mean, I guess what I'm better off now than I used to be, because I have the possibly insecure or secure sense that somebody is doing something about training, and hopefully people will be a little bit more informed than they were before.
Cool. All right.